Here's an example of a cycle of self-sabotage for a veteran that's applying for VA disability. During their career, because of the field that they were in, if they would have gone to get their medical issues on record or complain about any kind of mental anything, they would have gotten their weapon taken away. They would have been non-deployable, so they never got it on record. And anytime they actually had anything come up, they would shove it down and keep going because they didn't want to let the team down through pride, through fear of, not being able to show up and be valuable for the group, shame around like being weak, something like that. So when they get out of the military, they go and apply for VA disability. They're very confident about it because they're like, I did a bunch of shit in my career. This is, I should be a shoo-in. I have so much shit that's wrong with me. And they go and apply for disability rating. They're confident. They go to their CNP exam and they feel really anxious and vulnerable because they have to reveal some things that they did or what they saw or their experiences, maybe talk about childhood as well. It's very vulnerable and it makes them feel a little anxious because, there's a lot to expose here and you're being evaluated. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. Then they get a denial letter or a really low rating compared to what they expected. Right when they receive it, they're instantly confused because they were so confident that they were going to get a high rating because they did so much shit in their career and they thought a lot was on record. But apparently it wasn't because they didn't get it all documented. All the stuff that they have racked up in their mind that they have done in their career was not on record properly. So this leaves them confused, which feeds into fury, rage, and a feeling of betrayal because of all the shit that they've done for their country, and this is what they get for it. Once they've sat with this for a long time, they either give up, they settle, and they're like, you know what, fuck it. It's not worth my time. Or you know what, maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe it'll be for the next guy. Or they talk to people and they're like, hey, you probably should put this in there, and maybe they reapply. And in order to reapply, they're going to have a little bit of ounce of hope. But because this person has been holding this feeling of I am a failure, this belief about themselves since their childhood, when their dad was really hard on them and said things like, what are you doing? Why did you miss that hit? That was right there. You could have got that hit. That's just an example of something that could have developed this belief about this person. Deep down, they have this false belief that they're a failure, which you could also view this as your greatest fear, the thing you're trying to avoid, feeling like a failure. So when they're around their buddies and stuff, they're not going to report all their issues because they don't want to be taken off the team, because they don't want to look like a failure. They don't want to let people down. When they applied for disability, they were kind of blinded. They were like overly confident. They didn't have all the information, so they went in with their guard down. At the CNP exam, they were extra vulnerable and disclosed things that they haven't told anybody. So their guard is extra down now. Now they get this denial letter, this low rating, and they're so confused because their guard was down. They don't know how this happened. They were so confident that they did enough in the military to get 100% permanent and total. When they sit with this, the conclusion that they're going to make about why they got a shitty rating or a denial letter, they either didn't do enough in their career to earn it or deserve it, or that they didn't do enough when they applied, that they fucked something up and they're blaming themselves. The finger's getting pointed at themselves, and the thoughts that may be going through their head is like, I'm such a fucking idiot. Why did I put myself in this situation? Or why didn't I read this document ahead of time? Why didn't I get my medical issues on record? I'm such a fucking idiot. Sort of like the things his dad used to say to him. Eventually, if he's able to scrape himself out of this place and not just give up completely, because that would require him to be vulnerable yet again and feel like a failure potentially yet again. That's a horrible position to put yourself in. If he does want to reapply, someone will have to build him up, or he'll have to build it up with him in himself, establish more vulnerability to feel hope. And he has the potential of this cycle continuing yet again. So you either give up right away or you risk feeling all these feelings all over again. It's not the behaviors that are the problem. It is the emotions and the belief that's driving the behaviors. It's what this roller coaster of emotions that this person is feeling. This person is blinded, and they were personalizing this experience instead of viewing it for what it is. It's not a representation of their worth. It's not a representation of their value. It's items on a checklist, written in a policy, and it's not personal. but this person couldn't see it that way because they're holding this belief still, and it's silently sabotaging all of what they're experiencing. This is what happens with everyone. You will replay not the exact situation, but you're going to feel these feelings. This is just an example. It could be different with everyone, but you're going to feel the same kind of feelings in a specific cycle over and over and over again until you come back to whatever false belief that you're holding that's silently sabotaging your life.